I ran my first race ever with Bob Geldof in, if you remember, in '86 for Ethiopia. He was on the TV on the Late Late Show on a Friday night, and he said, "Get off your arse, you can do this." And I turned to my wife and I said, I can run this.
Go to the pub tonight, please stay in and give us the money. There are people dying now.
And they all thought in the estate we lived in that I couldn't do it. And I ran that 10k in the park, and I finished that 10k in 42 with absolutely no training, 42 minutes. And I actually turned to some people and said, I actually loved that. And I did the marathon, that was June I think, and I did the marathon in October in 3:11. So I was born to run, I think. You know, but I do love it, I do. Like I predicted last year that I could, I decided to try and do 100 marathons. Nobody in Ireland had ever done 100 marathons in a year. And I did 104. And that was despite my daughter getting married and costing me 2 marathons, which she'll never get forgiven for. I set the target for the year, and this was the big one this year, was to get to 500 before I was 65. And then I targeted as to get to here, Courtmacsherry, a different one for each 100. And I really enjoyed today, and I decided to do a 36 mile as a difference as opposed to 26. And I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lovely area, and the atmosphere and the hype all around everyone. I'm known by everybody, see, so everybody keeps shouting at me all the way around, so keeps you going. I did my 100th in Dublin in 2007, and it was a great day because I was at 70 at the beginning of the year, and I predicted on New Year's Day that I'd do the 100 in thing, and one of the guys off the organising committee of Dublin said, "You'll never do it." But I made him a promise, and he held the number 100 for me, and he checked with me, he got worried a few times during the year, he didn't think I could do 30, and I kept my promise. I turned up on the day for my 100th marathon, and he was delighted. 200 was in Dublin again, believe it or not. And I ran exactly the same time as I ran on the 100, believe it or not, well, within a couple of seconds, 3:31 both days. And then the 300 was Longford. 400 was up in Donegal in the Quadrathon last year. And I was nearly going to make 500 up there, but I was getting on too well during the year, so I hate missing one. I predicted, and my kids hate me for saying it, I predicted a couple of years ago, and it was in the magazine, Frank's magazine, that I would do 1,000 marathons. And my kids are terrified I'm going to die in one of them. But I kind of have a target by 75, 10 years time, I'd have the other 500 done. I suppose now I do so many that I don't ever have a downtime, if you know what I mean. Like years ago you had to build up for a marathon and you had to gradually bring up your mileage. Now you see I do 2 or 3 most weekends, you know. So I think it's constantly, and then I do, which I don't think a lot of other people do, I do all the other races. Like Frank Reilly will tell you, I'm Ireland's most prolific road racer, because I run during the week, like Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, I do races somewhere around Dublin. And it's just, I think it keeps you change your pace, and it keeps you that you don't go into just the slow plod, if you know what I mean. You know, you see some marathon runners and they just jog along all the time, same pace. I can have a very good spell from say 10 to 18 mile or so in a marathon, and then maybe ease back a bit. But I've never been injured, you know that, in 30 years of running. And I put that down to the fact that I know how to adjust my pace and listen to the body. I have to stay focused all the time in a race. You know, I focus on somebody in front of me all the time. Do you know what I really love? It's the atmosphere every weekend. Like I work at the building, and I absolutely look forward to every weekend and it doesn't matter how far we travel. I go from here to the north sometimes between Saturday and Sunday to do a marathon. But when you're there and the buzz and the crowd and you see the way, we're all friends. You know, that. Everyone is in good, and everyone wishes everyone well in it, as you know. I think it's a great sport. Very friendly, and as you said, it's addictive.